my season episode 10, last episode of Dexter New Blood. So let me get it out the way, right? Dexter, somebody who proponent of watching his main characters die. What I rank Dexter in his death and how it was executed, I rank it a number 5 in the character death. Number 1 is Jax. Is Jax dying, sacrificing himself because he did too much. Number 2 was Walt dying. Number 3 was Nucky. And was it number 4? I forgot what character. I forgot that character that died. It was somebody else, but yeah, he's number 5. Mainly number 5. Well, not 5. He actually ties in. He ties with Nucky Thompson dying. Nucky and Dexter died in the same kind of category. They both died from their past. Nucky died because, you know, how he killed. He died from Tommy's son. Tommy was a character that Nucky killed because he couldn't trust him and he was going full gangster. So he decided, okay, I got to get rid of him. And Jimmy's son came back to get revenge on Nucky. And Nucky was in a weakened state during season 5. Season 5, I think the stock market crashed and all types of stuff was happening. And Nucky was pretty much broke. He had no power. He didn't rule the Boardwalk Empire. I mean, he didn't rule the Boardwalk anymore. And it was pretty much, he was diminished. He was still scrambled up. So pretty much Tommy's son killing him was lackluster because this is not the same Nucky that took on the gangs and, you know, ruled the Boardwalk. It was a weakened Nucky who was about to retire anyway. It's the same thing happened with Dexter. Dexter was an old serial killer. He was a sloppy serial killer who tried to put so much into his son. He tried to catch up with his son, and his son ended up turning against him. So everybody wants to talk about how Angela did what she did. Now, we have to understand that Angela had all of the notes. Angela is probably one of the worst cops that I seen in the Dexter universe, next to all the people in Miami Metro Homicide. You know why? At least people in the Miami Metro Homicide, they actually know how to solve cases. Dexter was one of the key things that was good enough for them to solve cases. She couldn't solve her own friend's demise by the town mayor. She didn't even know the town mayor was something crazy wrong with him. So it tried to make her feel something. It tried to mix her up. It's trying to make her feel something different because she was finally motivated in a small town to go after a criminal. And Dexter was her redemption story. She found out who Dexter who he was. She decided to, oh yeah, let me go Dexter because this is the easy target. Angela was one of the worst police officers ever. She's in a small town. All of them are incompetent, except the black dude. And even he's incompetent as well because he's in that little small sheriff station. They're not that good. 25 years, and she didn't catch the guy she was going after. 25 years, all these missing girls, and she didn't try to do anything different. Dexter came into the picture, showed her about whatever was going on, and he helped her out, that she couldn't even solve her own murder. I mean, her own friend's murder. Because he's a pro. Now, I think that was the story they were trying to tell. That Dexter ain't in Miami anymore. He doesn't have the resources he used to have in Miami because, remember, Dexter was a blood spatter analyst. Dexter was close to the chief of the police. He was close to the lieutenant. He was close to the captain. Everybody in that building was his cover. He was the master. Dexter was the master in Miami. He was the master. And when he left Miami, he became an amateur. That's the real truth. When he was in Miami, he was top tier. He was a top tier serial killer. When he left, when he was in Miami, he was a top tier serial killer. He got away with it. He almost got caught, blah, 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 blah. But when he left for 10 years, he became just the average serial killer. And he couldn't cover his tracks up because the fact is, he didn't have a police database. He couldn't be one step ahead of everybody. He couldn't be 3 steps ahead of everybody. He was behind Angela. He didn't know Angela was actually investigating him. Even though everything was circumstantial and everything was there, like, she couldn't prove. This is how sloppy Dexter was, especially in this last episode, and it showed. He killed the cop to get himself out, pretty much breaking his own code. But he broke the code many times before. But he just broke it in front of his son, who was a lost boy who didn't have connection with his dad. So he sold his dad down the river, not just because his coach, because he felt like his dad was lying again. The relationship between Harrison and Dexter was already shaky anyway. He wanted somebody to look up to. And when he couldn't look up to his dad, he said, okay, I want you to go to jail. Because he wants this darkness to stop. It's kind of like, it's the same shit what happened with Lumen. But the difference is, Lumen, she actually, I don't know if she loved Dexter, but she knew that Dexter he needed this killing all the time, and she didn't anymore because the people who caused her harm was dead. So Dexter helped her clean up her act and got rid of her dark practicer, and then guess what? She didn't need him anymore, and she didn't need that world. But she would have never snitched on Dexter. She probably would have helped him get away. Same thing with Hannah McKay. She knew about him, and she called Dexter out on some of his stuff. One of the reasons why Dexter went a full 60 and different. Harrison didn't know Dexter. He was full of anger. Let's not act like Harrison is not having no sins. He sent the innocent boy in jail because he set him up to be a mass shooter. That kid was innocent, and he set him up because he wanted to get his anger out. He broke some dude's arm in a wrestling match, and pretty much he probably gonna do the same. Harrison and Dexter got the same thing, and people not getting the writing that the dude did. He's copying and pasting. He was copying all the stuff that happened on the 4 seasons. Dexter killed his brother because Dexter thought that, hey, the ice truck killer is too dangerous to leave. He's gonna kill innocent people. I gotta get rid of this guy. I gotta get rid of my own brother. And he killed his own brother because he knew that Brian was gonna go after his sister. He was gonna keep trying to go after his sister. Guess what? He did it. And then he felt empty inside. He's like, this was when Dexter was off in the season 2. That he didn't know that Dexter's following him and all this other stuff, and then it leads him to make mistakes. Deb, when she had the chance to kill Dexter in a container, when she had a choice to kill LaGuerta and Dexter. They just rewritten all this. They just redid some of the story, but they made a conclusion to Dexter's story by giving him the ending that people really was all proud of. Like, look, I wouldn't have mind Angela locking him up and then him going on death row, but at the same time, it should have never been Angela to do it, because Angela is not a good cop. She just stumbled on this, and she was going after a weak Dexter, right? So the only person that could do it is his son. His son, I don't know what it was at the end. He smiled and, he laughed and like it was over. It's the same shit that Dexter did. Dexter thought everything was over. When he took out a lot of people, and then every single his quote unquote dark passenger comes in, and he comes back, and Harrison is. I don't want to see a Harrison. I don't want to see a spinoff about Harrison. I don't care about him. The kid, to me, Angela and him were the most annoying parts. Yes, he was a kid. He's a 15-year-old kid, but at the same time, I really don't care for him. One of the reasons why I don't care for him, because, look, when he finally figured out that his dad was a so-called vigilante, he was okay with it, right? And he was like, okay, he gonna help me with what I have going on. But he wasn't like Dexter. Dexter made a wrong call. But the fact is, Harrison was turning out worse than Dexter. Why? Because he already set up a person. Dexter never took an innocent life in his teen years because he had his dad. He never took an innocent life, and he was going to many different times. But he had his dad. Well, his adopted dad, but his dad. Harrison sent the innocent dude in prison. So it was kind of hypocritical of him saying that, yeah, you should be in jail, when you spent this whole time looking for your dad to have some type of closure. And Dexter was kind of telling him, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Dexter's biggest downfall was many different things. Dexter's big downfall was taking out Matt Caldwell without vetting him properly. Letting his son in his life. Letting the son in his life, because that left him down. Like, he's not the same Dexter from Miami. Like I said, he was a master in Miami. He was the stalker. In this kind of environment, he pretty much was open to anybody, and he didn't see all the angles that came to him. So the last bit of the episode, you see Dexter killing the black cop and killing him to get out of jail. And the dude tried to take the gun out and shoot him, and I'm like, why would you do that? I mean, it seemed to me that a lot of these people turned on him super fast, meaning that they didn't have no really kind of respect for him or no rapport for him. Just like Angel Batista kind of turned on Dexter real fast. And we didn't even get that payoff. I don't even know why did they put Angel in there as a spoiler, because he pulled out the case file of LaGuerta, and he wanted to go ask Dexter whatever. Like, come on, dude. It made people. It did expose a lot of different things about certain characters. Like the Angel Batista stuff. It seemed like, okay, I cared about Dexter. I watched his son, but since he lied to me, I want to face him. I want to go face to face and ask him what he did. Angela was bluffing the whole time. See, this is why I said Dexter was a sloppy guy, right? Because they can't prove that he was the Bay Harbor Butcher. They can't. What? He used ketamine and that's it? Dexter overestimated what they had on him. The only thing they had on him was the Matt Caldwell's death. And that was even jumbly evidence because they didn't have Kurt Caldwell. So Dexter overreacted, and that was the sad tragedy of his demise. Dexter overreacted. He didn't wait for it. He overreacted. He overreacted, and it cost him his life. He overreacted. He overreacted. And basically it was doomsday for him. Because she just said that, oh, you're the Bay Harbor Butcher, blah, 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 blah. No one is going to open a 10-year-old case because a small town sheriff decided that she thought he was the Bay Harbor Butcher and he killed Matt Caldwell because there ain't no body there. They would have had to look. See, if Dexter was the smart Dexter himself, the Dexter that went against Lundy, then he would have been smarter than that. But Dexter was not thinking of himself. That was the sad part. Dexter, this whole season, was Dexter thinking of his son. He wanted his son to live a better life without him. So it was more like okay, I'm going to sacrifice myself for my son, because if I don't exist, then my son ain't going to turn into he ain't going to see what I turn or who I am. Harrison saw his dad, his dad. And he said, okay, I don't want to be like you. Even though he searched him out, I don't want to be like you. You need to go to jail, and this is that. And he said, okay, you take me out. So what they probably came to the conclusion, and what they wrote Harrison to be, was Harrison got rid of his dark passion with killing his father, so he can be normal. Which I call bullcrap, because, well, when he didn't know his dad exists, he still did some dark stuff. So we're gonna probably be dealing with a Harrison who is jumbling with the fact that he killed his own dad, the only person that can understand him. And pretty much, it would have been a better ending if, he looked at his dad and see what he did, and he would have took himself out. It would have been a better ending like that. Instead, he killed his dad because his dad told him, no, I'm not going to jail. You're going to have to take me out. And this was the kind of stuff that happened. This was the kind of stuff that was constantly a constant thing in Dexter. Deb said that she didn't ever want to be on life support. If she was on life support, she wanted Dexter to pull the plug on her. Guess what? It happened in season 8. Everybody complained about it, but they should have called back. If you're a true fan of Dexter, all of this came full circle to Dexter. All the people on his table, certain people that was on Dexter's table, told him and said that you're going to be just like me, but somebody else going to take you out. It's ironic that his own son took him out. His own son judged him. But I think Dexter would rather it be his son taking him out than Angela putting him in jail. And that's what Dexter came to the conclusion, okay, you got to take me out. I can't do this anymore. And he came to the conclusion of okay, but this is what happened in season 7. Dexter told Deb to do the same thing to him. You're a good person. So Dexter gave his son a shot to be quote unquote normal, even though I think he still ain't going to be normal. But we have to live with the fact that we got a better ending than the last one, because we saw Dexter trying and failing. He became just like a normal serial killer. He became normal. The whole New Blood was about showing that Dexter Without the code, Dexter is a normal serial killer. Without the code, Dexter is just like everybody else. And basically, Dexter can fall to the same things that every other serial killer falls to, their needs, and they want to feed on it. He did it for 10 years. Of course he did, yeah. But without his son coming into his life, he would have fell off the rails. He would have smelled somebody like a Matt Caldwell, and Matt made it quite obvious. They kept going in Dexter's face, and it triggered Dexter to the point where he said, "Okay, I'm gonna take this dude out. I'm gonna see if he fit my code because I'm tired of him." Dexter always been that type of guy in every single iteration of season of Dexter. He always been that type of guy. He takes out a bunch of people who threaten him. He set up Dokes to be the Bay Harbor Butcher to save his life. He killed Miguel Prado because he taught them the code. He had to get rid of him. He wanted to get rid of the Glitter because she knew who he was. Like, look, Dexter was always super selfish. He got Rita killed. Like, it was a lot of bad qualities that Dexter had that made him a guy who's going to repeat the same cycle. The difference is that Dexter don't know how to be truly introvert. The sad tragedy of Dexter New Blood, it showed you that he was a monster of, he was what you call it? What he said? A person of habit, a monster that had a slave to his habits. Okay, he couldn't be by himself. He always needed cover. The lumberjack storyline, to me, you gotta be kidding me right now. Okay. To me, Dexter New Blood showed you that he was a slave to his habits. Anywhere he goes, he has to get covered. And once he get covered, if he messes up, that cover can turn against him, like it did. He was the master in Miami. But pretty much, him trying to be normal got people around him killed. What he should have did. And Dexter did make a mistake. And it actually is symbolic. It's also symbolic with the writers of the show. Dexter should have had a somewhat happy ending, right? He should have went with Hannah. Then Hannah passes away. Then we see what Dexter turns into without Hannah. Dexter always needed a person there to keep him from being a monster. He had Harry. He had Deborah. He had Hannah. And then he had Harrison. Once he seen that Harrison wasn't going to be there for him, and once he saw that, hey, I can't do this anymore, Dexter got tired, and he said, okay, I have to end it. I'm not going to jail. And it wasn't just the fact that he was scared to go to jail. Because in season 2, if you actually looked at Dexter, he said he wouldn't have mind if Lundy took him down, because Lundy was a worthy opponent. He said it himself. Angela was not a worthy opponent. So he didn't want her to take him down. So he would rather die than to be taken down by Angela. But what Dexter's big mistake was not having himself isolated. When we came into Dexter New Blood, he had a new cover and everything else. His son messed his cover up because he was someone from his past. That destroyed his everything. Harrison was the downfall of the new Dexter. But Dexter also contributed to his downfall as well because he went off the wagon. Now, he went off the wagon and he killed the wrong person. See, Dexter always killed high profile people. But he had my amometry homicide and he can choose a fall guy. But in this small town of like 2,000 people, he didn't have a fall guy. He didn't have one. So eventually Dexter was gonna end up falling or something. And they chose Dexter. They chose Dexter to end by the hands of his son and not the hands of somebody who was incompetent enough to do the downfall of Dexter. Now, I see people mad about what happened with Dexter, and I see them saying, oh yeah, man, I hate this, blah, 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 blah. This sucks, blah, 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 blah. It's because they killed off Dexter. Y'all thinking just like what Showtime did. Showtime didn't want to kill Dexter because they wanted to milk it. I think Michael C. Hall was tired of playing the character. So he said, kill him off. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I came back to give the fans what they want. If they liked it or not, he still didn't want to play Dexter. So he ended it. He probably confirmed it too, like, okay. But it was a kind of a plot twist. Because everything was going on. Dexter was the end for him. Even if Angela couldn't prove that he killed so-called Matt Caldwell, he would be in jail back and forth. He would have scrutiny, and he would have to deal with the pressures of being called the killer. And then people would have tried to. Then somebody else with a better background record would have tried to solve the case. Then he would have Angel or anybody else in the past trying to find out and going against him. Eventually, it would have caught him for something else. And Dexter would have turned into somebody who we probably wouldn't recognize. So, well, I'm here, and